Hey, we are back on the Silverfox Hustle podcast. This is episode number 48. And at the end of the podcast, don't forget to click on the follow or subscribe button and leave a review as well. We are on YouTube as well, by the way. So check it out, Silverfox Hustle podcast. And recently, just before we move on, recently I was on this podcast called Magic Mike, where I speak about why and how I started this podcast and the work that goes into podcasting. So check that out, Magic Mike podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. Now let's get started with episode number 48. Now, my guest started out as an intern and journalist at the New Paper, and she was writing regular sports and football features, and she was involved in TNP's coverage of the 2010 World Cup. She is also a host and MC, and I tell you what, she does quite a lot of stuff, right? She's a professional speaker and moderator, and she did stuff in the international events like a World Football Summit 2019 and the Dubai Sports Conference in 2019. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Now, get this, she's also a FIFA licensed players agent, and she also topped her class for the FIFA exam in 2013. Get that, and we'll talk about that later on as well. Now, she is, I think most people will know her as Futbolita, and she is the founder of Futbolita.com, the female football voice. She is also the co-founder, I told you she does a lot of stuff. She is also a co-founder of Lugami Gaming, an all-female global esports team and brand. Get that. Welcome to the Silverfox Hustle podcast, Ash Hashim.
Wow, Shashi, what an introduction. I'm so stressed listening to that. Thank you so much for the very nice introduction. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, right off the bat, right, what does Ash stands for?
So my full name is Ashikin.
Right.
So the funny part is my teacher couldn't pronounce my name. So I was like, okay, just call me Ash. It's easier.
I get that a lot because most people can't pronounce my name as well, right?
There we go.
Okay, the Euros 2020. Okay, right, before we move on about you and your life and stuff like that, it happens in a few days' time. Is it Friday or Saturday night?
Absolutely. It's Friday with the opening ceremony.
I know who you are rooting for, but who are you rooting for? Tell us all.
How do you know who? Okay, so
I've been watching stuff, right? Yes.
So as you guys, as you probably know, I'm supporting France. France is my pick because I'm very much into the whole rebel and the return of the player that Karim Benzema is coming back.
Okay.
So I like that. I know he's made mistakes in the past, but I'm a huge advocate of fixing your mistakes and coming back stronger. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I hope try and win his first ever international title with France. So that's my pick. And of course Wales a little bit because my grandfather is Welsh, in case nobody knew. So a little bit weird. Yeah. I don't like say it out. Right. But yeah, my late grandfather was Welsh. So so I can't say England basically.
Actually, to be fair, they did pretty well in the last Euros.
Yeah.
They did pretty well in the last Euros, and I was doing some stuff in the studio as well. Yeah, they did pretty well. So France.
Yeah, France is my pick. Who is your pick?
Oh, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because I'm not really a fan of all, Spain is definitely like not doing well. But in terms of favorites, I gotta go with France. No, in terms of favorite, the players who are in form as well, and of course they won the last World Cup. And in terms of age as well, I think they are not too old and they're just right at the right place. But you know what? I'm not an England fan. But I do like the young players for England.
I have to agree
Mount,
with you,
Foden, and players like this. I hope they do well for the young players.
Absolutely.
Let's and of course James will be happy that England do well as well.
Yes.
Now, let's go back a little. When you were a little kid, when you were schooling, how were you as a student?
So Shasi, I had to actually ask my friends about this yesterday when I got your questions.
Why?
Because I don't remember much about high school. I only remember that I was like very loud. That's what I remember. Like always rallying around my friends, talking about football. Especially after games, after the World Cup, we would have discussions. During recess. About football. Yes, all girls. I went to an all-girls school.
Okay.
So
which school is this, by the way?
Katong Convent, HIJ. So we were all there just talking about Spain, Brazil. Remember 2002 World Cup? So everyone just knew me as the crazy nutty, the nutter girl talking about football. But yesterday I asked my best friend Ditch, and she said, there's one thing I'll never forget about you, like 15 years on, is that you're very passionate. Your passion has like took you very far. And she says that's, I guess, the impetus that really pushed you to, to create Futbolita. So I guess passion was something I always had from when I was young.
Okay.
Yeah. So
passion in terms of everything that you do, not only football.
Exactly. I just loved. I did love football so much, but I loved writing as well. I loved speaking about it. So I think she told me that was what she noticed about me. So
what was your CCA? What did you do?
So I did football. I was also okay.
In-
Don't
in-
laugh. I was also a cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah, I was also a cheer, but I
Right.
was also like doing so many things. I don't even remember. Because you know when you're at that age, you're trying to do everything. Choir as well. So yeah, so many
Wow.
girls' school. You're trying to get
Okay.
all those brownie points.
There was football in your school as well. The girls'
There
school?
was, but I didn't
Wow.
do very well actually. Like I
Really?
was just like always trying to do the tryouts, and
Okay.
because I
okay.
was short and I was going to be a goalkeeper, so Shasi, you play, so I probably will get punched.
It's got nothing to do with the height.
True.
It's nothing to do with the height, But so you've always been an extrovert. Am I right to
Yes,
say that?
I think so. But you know what's funny? As I grow older, I think I'm more introverted. I get very stressed around a lot of people actually. Like
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like it's so overwhelming, especially now as I get older. But when I was young, of course, being
Yeah.
in the limelight, you
Yeah.
gotta be an extrovert. You gotta speak to
Okay.
be out there. So I had to force myself out of my comfort zone, really, just
Okay.
to be out there. Yeah.
This is a very good point. It's a very good point because you are out in the media, doing presentations in shows and what have you. Because you need to get out there to speak to people, and of course as a player agent as well. And we're going to talk about that later as well. So you need to be a people person. How
Exactly.
did you overcome that? Because it's tough.
You know, with all the commentary that you do as well.
Yeah,
You know,
but how did you do it?
Yeah. I think for me, it was more of I forced myself. A lot of things that I've done in my career was always I forced myself to get out of my comfort zone. And I always feel that you gotta, if something scares you, you gotta do it even more. So for me, I used to hate calling up earlier in my career, I used to be the one calling out play
Okay.
agents for interviews.
Okay.
I'll be calling out, like, for example, Gestifield, George Mendes at that time,
Okay.
Ronaldo's
Okay.
agent, just to get interviews. But it used to scare me to call the Portuguese number, but I forced myself to do it. Or call CBF in Brazil, like,
Okay.
to get interviews with whoever, Pato or some
Okay,
other player.
okay.
But that was something I forced myself to do because I think that the outcome for me was going to be great. If I could
Yeah.
achieve that, that would make the difference. That would make me like stand out. So I always looked at the goal and the vision, and then I work backwards. Being scared is not it's just a small thing. Once you overcome it, the rewards are a lot bigger. You feel much better about yourself, and you can inspire and do more. Yeah.
Well, that's a lesson as well. That's a lesson already. So early on in this podcast, wonderful. And you talk about, and I've been reading about you as well. And you said that you never take no for an answer, as in no is not an option. Is that right?
No, it's not an option. So I don't really know. US they have a vice president, Kamala Harris. So she recently came out with a quote. I think she said it when she got elected. I eat no for breakfast.
Wow.
So I absolutely stand by that as well. I love it when people reject me. I mean, professionally.
Yeah.
Personally, it's a completely different thing. But professionally, when you say no to me, I feel like I want to prove you wrong. And that's why I like players who always, are always underestimated, because I love that. It makes me like want to work harder to prove you wrong and come back and prove you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now let's talk about football. Like as you were growing up, right? Why football? And because you have evolved in terms of, like you said, you played the game, probably talked about it. But then as you grew older, you just went into football, right? Football.
Yeah.
Why football? It could have been a rugby, or it could have been something else, right?
Exactly. I think in Singapore, especially growing up, for me, I had a big family around me, and we all loved watching Tiger Cup days, Malaysia Cup days. It's absolutely inevitable. Growing up, I was watching Abasat, Fandi Ahmad play, Malik Awab. And I just can't forget, the moments, watching those games and the emotions that it stirred up in my family. So the passion was always there. So it's very hard for me to sort of steer and do something else. Of course, I was doing normal sports like swimming, covering, stuff like that. It's great, but football was always like, the heart of it, like I just can't leave it. So yeah, I mean, of course, I tried to go into it because it was something that most Singaporeans or most people understood. So even when I started like writing about sports and I joined the newspaper, how newspaper is so obsessed with football. It's a football newspaper. So I was like, how can I write about other sports? So of course I focused then on football, more or less that, yeah.
You spoke about your big family. How big?
I'm the only child, but I have a lot of
okay,
extended
right.
family outside. Like we have, when I was younger, I used to live with my grandparents because I was very young. So we had my uncles in the same house. So
Right.
everybody was literally, it was a bola gila family.
You must be pampered. The only child in the house. The only child in the house.
I think my dad also will agree with you on that. Yeah, absolutely. I really, I have to admit that without my parents, I wouldn't be who I am today. They've really made a lot of sacrifices for me. Yeah.
Growing up, favorite teams? Do you have any favorite teams?
English teams, not so much. But like I said, the first ever World Cup I watched was 2002. I'm sure you know. the very controversial Spain. They got kicked out of South Korea in the quarterfinals, I believe. So Spain was one of the first few teams I watched.
Okay.
Real Madrid as well in that season in the Champions League with
Okay.
Zidane's volley. You remember
Wow.
that? Champions League goal. And then Brazil. So many of these national teams. And I later on went to like actual clubs, which was more like Spanish teams.
Okay.
Yeah, so Real Madrid, like I said, I started like very much into the Spanish culture. I don't know why. I think it was a passion that drew me to it. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And players? Who do you-
Zidane for sure,
Yeah.
100%. What a classy player. Yeah, right now as a coach as well. I think obviously at Real Madrid they're facing some difficulties. Left also. Raul, I don't know, but Kaká was one of my favorites.
Ah,
I think you know, very classy. Of course, girls like him because he looks good also, but that's besides the point. He's one of the role models in football. We don't
Nice.
get this kind of players anymore. Yeah.
Great. Now let's talk about Futbolita, right? Now, what was the idea, the thinking behind this, the name, and stuff like that? How did you get this idea?
So I'm not sure if you know, Shasi. If you look at the word Futbolita, it's the word football and lita.
Right.
So I was trying to combine the words football and chica, and I couldn't really find a word. So I decided to add in Lolita, which is kind of okay, but together it means Futbolita.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a feminine girl who loves
Okay.
football. So when I started it, of course, I was so young in my teens.
2008.
Yeah, I won't reveal my age, but I was a teenager-ish sort
Do-
of.
Do the maths. 2008
No,
teenager.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
a teenager. Yeah, so okay. But yeah, I wanted something that was a bit cheeky, something that I could carry on my back and go, hey, this is my product,
Okay.
take it or leave it. So I was writing for newspapers, at
Yeah.
that time's intern. So I wanted a brand that I could publish in a newspaper or say, hey, this is
Okay.
me. So something a little bit more fun and who sort of, I always say Footballita represents the female football voice, but also imagine if you watch the South American game, you see the girl in Brazil and Argentina, she's so passionate in the stands. That's who I want Footballita for.
Yeah.
To represent that fan on the stands who just lives her life for football. She's so happy, so full of freedom, and because football is her life. So that's what Footballita is. That's why I created it.
And what was the goal? Was there a goal in mind? Like right now, it has been 2008. It's more than 10 years, right? So whatever that you envisioned, has it come true, or what was the goal in mind at that time?
Actually, honestly, Sashi, I just wanted to create a blog and just a fun blog, and that was it. But I didn't expect that it would blow up so much, But I did visualize that. I don't know whether you know who Sarah Carbonaro is. She was the Spain national team. So I did say, one day I want to be like her, and I want
She's
to
somebody's wife, isn't she?
She's Ika Casillas' ex-wife. My
Ex-wife,
gossip is
yeah.
coming out, but yeah.
Yeah.
So she it was one of my role models because I loved her style. So
Okay.
I said I want to be her for Singapore national team, and that happened actually. I managed to represent for Singapore national team. But I mean, she's just one of the many girls along the way that I met. But when I started Futbolita, like I said, it was just supposed to be social media news, fun stuff, not so serious, not the match reports. So it was supposed to be a personality sort of vibe. So that's what happened. And then I created the blog. It got so popular. I had readers from all over the world.
Right.
I know, like from the US, from Spain, from Europe. I mean, many of my good friends today are still my first few
Nice.
readers. So they've grown with me through the year. Some of them are even commentating Copa America now.
Beautiful.
They've gotten there lah. So
Yeah.
they've grown with me. So I created Futbolita with that in mind. But later on, I became a presenter, like I said, and then it just, I don't know. Not right now. I'm just
It probably opened up doors.
exactly, definitely. If I didn't take that step on my birthday, I remember it was my one of my birthdays.
okay.
Yeah, I did it on my birthday because I was just like, I feel so empty. I just need to do something that really represents who I am as a writer. So
That is also a lesson, right, for everyone. Like sometimes you just get to or got to take that plunge. Like you said, don't take
Yes.
no for an answer. Probably when you started out, there would have been like the naysayers. I'm sure.
absolutely. I think out of 10, I probably got rejected 8 times. So many clubs said no to me. So many people didn't want to take me seriously. Especially at that time, if you know, girls or women in general in football not really taken seriously. So I've had to sort of force down the door and barricades. But I love it when I had so many rejections. I'm so happy for all those people who said no because they are already right now coming back lah and
Right.
asking a lot of things. So yeah, I mean
Did you do this all alone on your own, like the starting up part?
absolutely. Starting out part, I did it all on my own. Like
Okay.
just like how
Yeah.
like a startup. Imagine how it's a
Yeah.
startup. You do your own blog, you do your own content, you shoot, you film, you interview everything.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Like my mom would find me at 3 in the morning coding the blog. Like she was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I just loved it. Like she was
Right.
like, "You gotta get up." But I just wanted to go back and read all my 50 comments or something. At that time,
Beautiful.
you wanted to. You're just so immersed in it. Yeah.
Do you have people working for you now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have an intern actually with me, but we're more events based lah. So
Okay.
we're hiring actually. So
Beautiful. Well, Ash is hiring people if you are listening. Now, you traveled extensively, with your work and stuff like that, and you secured partnerships as well, and also interviews with top players, like
Absolutely, yeah.
Xavi, Ronaldo, Aguero, Fernando Torres. It's just the words, the names just keep coming out, right? How did the opportunity arise, especially with these partnerships? Like, how do you make that first contact?
Yeah. So for me, I was quite lucky for Fernando Torres. I actually got the interview when I was at the new paper. So I have to say, I mean, I say it's not every podcast, but in some of my interviews, I always say it's, if not thanks to my first few editors, which is Lim Han Meng, Jega, Gary Lim, Wan Mei Meng, these guys, the boys of TNP Sports, they gave me the chance. They took a chance on an intern. They sent me out, for all these events where Fernando Torres was doing when Liverpool was here. I think you remember. So they put me out there next to him to interview him. How many people get that chance, right? So they put their faith in me. Without that, I probably wouldn't have gotten that interview with Torres, which I guess people knew me for, right? Aguero was because I was the girl. Okay, so all the media officers in Malaysia, they're so afraid of me because they know that when I'm there, I'll be yelling to get the interview. Like, I don't say no, as I said. So most of the players will stop.
You're a hustler.
I'm a hustler, right?
Exactly what this podcast is all about.
Yeah. So he would come down, Fernando Torres, and I'll be like, oh, una pregunta por favor, or kita le Maradona. I'll ask him at the time because he was Maradona's former son-in-law, right? So I would say crazy things. So
Aguero, yes.
Yes, right? So it was this kind of things that I would do, small things just to get the attention and get my interviews.
That's an advantage, isn't it?
Exactly. You just have to do it. You just got to try all the way, yeah. For Xavi, it was because of the Spanish Tourism Board. They came in and sponsored me.
Okay.
But I had already connections in Barcelona. I was doing all the calls every day, And until now, I still have those same connections. They're great people. Barcelona, fantastic club to work for. I don't even support them, but they are so great. They have a great heart. They really are very Catalan, passionate. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I got Xavi. And for the rest, every interview is different. If I tell you, you'll probably be bored. But yeah.
Give me some stories about how are these players like Xavi, for example. How is he?
Super nice. Yeah? Xavi is nice. I met him in the Ciutat Esportiva, which is Barcelona's training ground. So they actually set aside 5 minutes for me to interview him at the training ground. / there was like a car park where the players go. And you know what's funny? There were 4 other journalists with me, and after that he was like, alright guys, let's all go into the car and go strawberry picking. Like, that's how he is. Yeah, he's so humble. You would think he's the maestro. You've seen how he played for Spain, right? What a genius. And you would never think he's so humble like that. I'm like, you guys just won the World Cup and you're so humble. That's Xavi for you.
Right.
I guess it's the culture. It's a bit different now, yeah.
How about the others? Like just name a few that and their characters as well.
Aguero is a little bit cheeky. Okay, first time he's a little bit funny. Second time I interviewed him when he was here in Singapore, he was just I can't mention like what he said or did, but they do have their they do have things that they do which also is a little bit unprofessional. But he's okay. He's quite cool. But he's the people around him. I'm not. Sometimes I do work with people around him just to get. Who else? Ronaldo is pretty cool. I met him last couple of years in Globe Soccer Awards, but he's got again a very big entourage around him. So yeah,
you're speaking about Portuguese Ronaldo, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been 13 years, right? And it's still going strong. Footballita. Talking about Footballita, right? What have been your struggles in your journey?
This one.
I love to talk about struggles, not because I love laughing at my guests, but it's because it's a journey, and I love talking about that and the hustle as well.
It's part of life, Sashi. It's part of the journey. So for me, I think the sexism part has always been there from the very beginning. Not being taken seriously. Actually, earlier in my career, before I got my FIFA license, people were like, "Oh, who's this girl?"
You're talking about local people?
Yeah, I would say local. Foreigners, I don't get the vibe, but you still get judgmental looks. People were not wearing masks at that time, so you could see.
Yes.
Yeah, you could see everything on their face, and I'm very good at reading people's expressions. So I could see they will underestimate what's this girl doing in this press conference. Oh, she's just a fan girl. Half the time I was there to get scoops for Futbolita because I knew my readership would go up if I got like a player on my blog, right? So stuff like that. I was doing my job for newspaper or writing for Yahoo as well. That's another thing I was doing. So yeah, not being taken seriously. Then also being placed in a box. I think they're like, oh, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be. Okay, so somebody told me when I was trying to get into broadcast and TV. Someone said, oh, I don't think you should be on TV. You should radio more. It's not really your thing. They would try and box you up, and it's like, and as a young person, it affects you. I think psychologically, it really affects you because it still plays in your mind as you grew up. So yeah, some words. I mean, they're not valid anymore to me, but I would imagine that somebody else in my position would feel like a little bit intimidated. I was also intimidated. That's another word. Because you can imagine walking into places like I went to Tottenham's training ground, a 22-year-old girl, not even knowing what to do, and I had a press officer. I had to grow up very fast, to be honest, just to be taken professionally by these people, seen professionally. So that was the other thing. So I wasn't able to enjoy my youth so much, to be honest.
Right.
So yeah, and also another thing, I guess the other struggle which I'm still struggling with is actually trying to move Futbolita as a bigger or wider sort of angle, because Futbolita is still very much me. When they think about Futbolita, oh, it's just Ash. But I'm trying to make it, of course, more into an agency phase, so more people come and work for me, and also women empowerment. That's the core of what we do. So the vision and mission, still very much women can make it in football. Yes, we can.
I wanted to ask you this later on, but I think since it came out now, do you think that more women should be taken seriously in the football sense? You know what I mean? I seldom see women like you in the open and talking about football and knowing your stuff. I think that's most important. And don't get me wrong, I've seen guys who don't know their stuff and speak about football, right? So do you think that more women should come out?
You know, Sashi, to be honest, if you're a woman in football, you will be judged a lot, 3 times more than the men. If you don't know your stuff, you will be put, in the hot seat. So absolutely, women should be. We're seeing more women, especially in the UK. We've got Alex Scott. So many of these fantastic pundits. I look up to them. I love what they do. Every time I watch the shows, I'm like, that's who I want to be. Okay, so I look at her and I'm like, okay, she's awesome. Because she's brave and she's played the game, so she knows her stuff. But for Singapore and Asia in general, the culture is a bit different. So they're going to look at you and go like, she doesn't know her stuff. She's just there for sure. Because of the culture and mentality is very difficult. But I would encourage, I think, just get past your fears and just do it. But make sure that you definitely do your research and you know your stuff for sure.
I think it's very important, and as well, I think I spoke to Colette Wong as well.
Yes,
what a legend, right?
Absolutely,
legend. Yes. And she knows her stuff, and she's great at what she does. So I feel personally, I think we need more people, women like you guys, to just come out there and because I think more should be done, right?
Absolutely.
Where does Footballita go from here? I don't know. You spoke about growing it wider.
Yes.
So what exactly in terms of specifics? What do you intend to do?
You know, Sashi, we've always had more of a global mentality. So when I started Futbolita, it was always global first and then local second. So we're quite lucky that now we have a lot of local partners and clients, but it was always global first. So I think it's always, I want to create a voice for women in sports and football in general. This will be the platform for them to feel protected, empowered, and away from all this mental abuse, because I think there's a lot of mental abuse and mental health. So that's what we want to do. That's the vision moving forward. Something more holistic. Football is important, but it's a core of what I do. But the vision, I'm going to create it so that it's a lot more encompassing. It gets more girls involved and just protect more of the girls because there's a lot of them who want a career and opportunities to play overseas. So I'm trying to find a pathway that will help them as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to public speaking and languages. And you're going to talk about that later, right? You're a global conference speaker, right? You spoke at the Dubai International Sports Conference and Globe Soccer Awards as well. How was the feeling like? And in a way, you're representing Singapore as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's like the first time I've heard that you're representing Singapore. But I mean, usually like these conferences can be very intimidating. Again, like I said, being on stage and if you got Romelu Lukaku watching you, João Felix, Ronaldo, like all these people watching you, you're like, oh my god, I can't mess up.
Nerves.
So the nerves will get to you because there's so many eyes on you. So okay, I mean, obviously as a presenter, I'm kind of used to these pressures. But of course, I have to admit, being in Dubai in front of those people, it was quite nerve-wracking. So there was a lot of prep work that went into it. So the prep was very important. I'm sure you know. So that was how it felt. I was very overwhelmed, but I really enjoyed it every minute of it. I really felt I was living the dream. It was like, okay, I'm finally here, right? You're in that room and you've got Luigi Colina coming up to you and saying, what a fantastic job you did. You're like, am I really here? You can't really believe it as well.
I'm sure you took like tons of photos and pictures.
It's all over my IG. So
nice.
Yeah.
You also headed a panel, right?
Yes.
Called Empowering Women in Football. I think that's great. What are your thoughts on that? And how did it go?
It was fantastic. We had like 4 women. We had Stephanie Frappert, the first ever female referee to referee a Champions League game for men. I love her, what a legend, and she just doesn't care. I love girls with that don't care attitude because that's a bit like me. We've had some French national team player, Italy national team player, and Lucy Bronze, who's of course the England women's player. These are all legends in their own right.
Okay.
But hearing them speak about their experiences is very empowering. Each of them have their own sets of challenges as being a woman in football, and it's unique, right? So, and they were very brave about it. They spoke out even though they knew there was a FIFA president there watching them, you know. So yeah, it was for me. It was so you know, for me to be picked by because there was a very good friend of mine from Dubai Sports Council has been following Futbolita for like apparently 5 years. So he picked me to do the conference, and I was like, you know, it's an honor for me to be here. That's the word, an honor to even be with this fantastic woman. I felt so inspired. Yeah, that was the feeling for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now I hear also that you speak a couple of languages. Of course.
Oh my gosh,
of course, you've got English, Malay. You don't do Mandarin.
No, but I can speak. I can understand.
Bit, right, you can understand. You do speak now. These two ones I love, Portuguese and Spanish as well. How did you pick them up? It's tough, but
yes.
How?
So when I was in Spain, I remember I told you my Spanish tourism board, they actually sponsored me to also do some college classes in Salamanca, which is where the Spanish language is from. That's where the like really, you know, the genuine type of was it Castellano? That's the original Spanish. So I went to college there. I did practical and what was it? Practical.
How long?
Actually, I did it only in a month. I did everything in a month. But it was a morning and afternoon. So practical. And then I was listening to a lot of music. And also before that in Singapore, also I learned Spanish. So two things. I school here and also there. But my Spanish is quite rusty now. So I got
And Portuguese, how did you pick that up?
Oh, because I forced myself, because I was doing all these Portuguese is not very good because I was forcing myself to speak on the phone with gesticulate, oi, tudo bem, this kind of accent. So I forced myself to like do Portuguese lessons. I studied in books and all that. But Portuguese is not so good. Like now these days I'm speaking more Spanish. For example, La Liga, so
it's tough, you know, to especially as you grow older, to pick it up, you know, later on is really tough. And I have to tell you that I tried once with Spanish, you know, took lessons. It didn't go well.
Why not?
I just quit after like a few lessons. And my friends who are listening to this, they know as well because we went together as
Where do you guys go? Where do you guys go?
No, we went to this personal tutor to her place, you know. So a group of us, and it was tough, man, because you have certain things for ladies and for the guys as well. Two different, you know, the way you say things. Let's not go there because I'm gonna fuck things up, right? Now let's talk a little bit about your FIFA players agent role, right? Now, what made you did this in 2013?
Absolutely,
right? Why do this as in a players agent? What was behind your thoughts and thinking?
Do you remember when I told you that I felt that I wasn't getting enough credibility when I was starting out my career as a girl, you know? So I wanted this as a step up to get credibility in football and also get a career in football besides being a journalist. Because, you know, as a journalist, you still are seen as an outsider. You're not inside football. And my dream at that point of time, I wanted to be like, okay, I don't mind being even a press officer, media officer, even a presenter for the club, anything, but I wanted to be in football. So I thought, how does a girl from Singapore get into Barcelona, for example? You know, I always, whenever I visualize big things, big goals. So I just, okay, maybe we'll start with the FIFA license first. So I did it. And I had, so the other context was I was at the Under-17 World Cup, and that was sponsored by Qatar Airways, right? So I was there, and I met my teacher there. Professor Hakan, his name is Professor Hakan. He's a Turkish professor. Now he's no longer doing this anymore, but he was doing all this FIFA, he's a FIFA license agent as well. So he was doing all these classes, teaching so many agents in Europe. So I mean, I became one of his students and he taught me as well. We did like Skype classes. So I did classes with him, and that was when I realized, okay, I think I'm gonna do the exam, and there was a bit of a motivation.
So how does this work? Like you study on your own? Like, do you have to enroll for
Yes, you have to actually register with the local football association, which is FAS for us. So you register, they give you the dates for the exam. Usually happens once a year. So once a year you do the exam. I mean
the studying is done on your own.
Everything is done on your own.
You have like a
so FIFA will give you, once you tell FIFA, okay, I want to do this exam, they'll give you all the materials. Even you can even ask your professor, whoever, you know, the guy, he gave me all the materials. He gives you all the and it's a lot of technical law work. You know, FIFA makes sure that you know every single thing, like transfer compensation, training compensation, which actually, to be honest, people in this region don't really care about, to be honest. So I think, you know, so these things are important. So when I did the exam, I learned a lot, really.
Okay. So the exams are done online, like
it's in a class.
Where was
FAS.
Okay.
So I was doing it with 20 men. I was the only one in the room, the only woman. And someone said to me in the room, I always said it, are you in the wrong room?
A fellow
someone
agent?
who is still a fellow agent, someone who's still very much in football.
Right. Okay. You'll tell me after this who this person is, right? And you topped your class. That particular class of 20.
Yeah.
You topped the class. You're the only lady.
Yeah.
You topped that class.
I topped the class, yeah.
So did you like flash that result at his face or something?
No, but apparently it made news because a lot of people came up like, oh, I heard you topped your class. You know, people like, you know, in all these football agencies. I'm like, how do you even know it? What have they been saying behind my back? But yeah.
Was it tough? I mean, I'm talking
It
about
was
the exam.
tough.
Yeah?
So basically, the FIFA exam has only a 6% pass rate. So you gotta,
They don't have it anymore, right?
They do, but they're planning to bring it back because of all the, you know, all the problems with the intermediary. So FIFA actually put it at 2020. So last year I got news from FIFA they want to bring it back, but because of COVID.
Okay. Understand.
Yeah, there's so many like, you know, messy things happening in our, I'm sure you know, in our Asian world. So they gotta,
Okay,
regulate it.
I'm very intrigued, right? Because in terms of the operations of being an agent, right? Okay, let's say for example you've gotten your agent what do you call it, license?
Yes.
So where do you go from there?
So you gotta make sure you get your insurance covered. That's number one. Insurance is so important.
Okay.
So you gotta get with either a global insurance agent that will insure you in case, you know, you get sued or something.
Okay.
So I had someone who actually did it for me. I don't even remember, it was a firm. So I still have the insurance policy with them. So that's number two. Okay, that's number two after you get your license. So then after that, you will be registered on FIFA's website. They will actually
automatically.
Yes, you will be there.
And so you work alone. You can work alone or you can work
I can work with many people. So I can choose to work with another FIFA agent. I can work with, it's from like, you know, a column grid of agents.
Okay.
Like, you know.
Does that work normally? Like agents working together?
Yes, I work with a lot of agents because we are working in different territories, Shashi. You have to understand. So if I have another player that I'm trying to send to Thailand, I literally cannot be the only one, you know, managing it. So I have to probably work with another agent there and try and get things done the local local way. It's all about trust in this industry. You gotta but sometimes, like I said, I always go with my gut. So if my gut tells me that it's not somebody I can trust, then I don't go ahead with the deal. Most of the time players will approach you anyway, like they know that you are an agent.
Any I'm sure you have, but who are the local players that you represented?
So I did Izwan Mahmud deal to Thailand, the last two deals. I mean, Nongba Pichaya, so I brought him out of Singapore to go there. Then he went to T1. That was usually I try and help players to get out of Singapore. That's me.
Of course.
Whatever they do in Singapore is up to them. So if they want to sign deals, because it's a very small market, so I don't really want to take the commission. I don't think it's nice. So I let them do their own thing. So for the other players, Saifullah Akbar, you know, SPL Young Player of the Year. So I negotiated for him to go to Spain as well, but the contract wasn't to both of us. We didn't like the contract, so he came back and played for Young Lions, and now he's obviously with you know, Lions City Sailors, and he wants to go overseas again. So that's where I'm trying to help him as well. Oops, I don't know whether I get into trouble for saying this, but
no, I'm saying that players should get out. That's where they can improve, and you know, you obviously look what's happening right now after yesterday as well. And the past few days.
He knows he needs to get out of his comfort zone. I've been telling him as well. So absolutely.
Listen, he's a good player. He's a good player.
Great,
you know,
great
so if he wants to get out, he needs to get out, right?
He's still young, so I'm trying to visualize for him as well his roadmap.
Yeah, and okay, without revealing like in terms of dollars and cents, right? How does the commission work? So let's say now you are representing me. And you gotten me to play for another club overseas. So how does the commission work? Is a one-time thing that the payment comes from the salary?
From the club either or from the player. It depends. So every club has their own way. So when I sign you, for example, to a club, you will get a sign-on fee.
Okay.
I don't know whether local clubs do this, but you get a sign-on fee, you get bonuses as well, and then you get your normal wage, right? So what I'm allowed to take technically as an agent is only from your sign-on fee.
So that is in the FIFA agents.
It's the standard FIFA license. You actually, in fact, a lot of clubs are not following this. Many people are just breaking the rules. Oh, I take 50% of your wage. Actually, no, it's not. That's not ethical. You know, I'm always like I'm very old school. I like to follow FIFA because I don't want to get into trouble. So I always tell my player, I will take only your sign-on fee, and that's about it.
Which is part of the sign-on fee or the whole?
No, so basically that
depends on what.
Depends on the contract actually.
And that's it. That's the one-time thingy and
yes. I mean, in Europe, obviously they will ask for cars and stuff. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like for example, if you sign N'Golo Kante, I'm pretty sure you can ask him for a Mini Cooper or something.
You can ask for
anything.
The world. N'Golo Kante. Right. Any failed projects that you thought you could have done better in terms of representing a player? Maybe at the end, last minute, something happened, or it was
many. Actually, recently, speaking of Izwan, we had a deal with KLFA which didn't go through because Samut Prakan refused to release him. I'm just gonna say it out there. They were very unprofessional. They didn't play him, you know. So basically, sometimes clubs they bring players just to fill in quotas, which is the ASEAN quota, you know. So that was what they did with him. They just left him there. in fact, they overpromised in the beginning. So we all like, okay, he's going to get some, minutes. But he never got the minutes. And so they just left him there, which is why he's very, very not in the best spot right now. So we're trying to get him back lah. So, yeah.
You see, if I had gotten you in here for this podcast, we wouldn't know what actually exactly happened over there in terms of his mindset and in terms of what's happening there, right? So,
exactly,
brilliant,
yeah.
And like you said, he hasn't been in the best of forms.
Exactly.
Let's put it out there and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about perceptions, right? What do you think of the perception that people have of players' agents right now? Obviously, you when you think about agents, you think about the big fellas, right?
Absolutely.
George Mendes and Raiola and all these guys, right? What do you think about the responsibilities, as in terms of a player's agent?
So look, everybody is out there to make money. I just have to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
To be an agent, everybody has this visualization in their head or perception that you're gonna get millions, right? But that's probably only for 2 or 3% of the elite agents. I'm talking George Mendes. In fact, I met George in Dubai. Like I said, before we were all supposed to go to the Globe Soccer Awards, we were all waiting for our cars. Okay, so I met him and I approached him, and he had on his left hand he had 3 mobile phones. On his right hand he had one, and he had a headset, and he was speaking to me and also speaking to the person on the phone. So I was just like, that is what an agent does. He is like the super agent for a reason, because he's always negotiating. There's always a deal to do. And sometimes you're just like, sometimes you don't even know in your head, what am I negotiating for? Because there's so many things going on at the same time. So of course people have this perception that agents are just there for the money, because they don't stop. I'm not going to mention, because he's a bit of a shark, right? So yeah, I mean, we all know that he's like that. But to be honest with you, there are honest agents that work with. They have the players, good, interest at heart. They want to put them out. There's so many good guys that I've met. They really genuinely care for players. They don't leave them in the lurch. They don't. So these are the people that I like to work with, because that's the most important. You're not in here. Okay, money is important. I love to make money. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But I don't want to do it at the expense of a player who will be depressed at the club or something. I'd rather not take his money, then I'll just leave him or let him work through his issues. Yeah.
I think the criticism isn't really about the agents making money. Listen, everyone is working to make money. It's simple as that.
There we go.
So that's one point. But the thing is, certain agents take it a step further when they get involved in the football side of things, because you've done your job. You've done your job as an agent for the player. The player is playing for a certain club, and then you start, poisoning the player in terms of, if, for example, he doesn't play for 2 games. Right, and then the player and the agent comes and tells him, "Hey, I think you should leave." That kind of, and that's where I think, my opinion. I don't know what's your opinion on that, if as an agent?
Yeah, I think, okay, to be honest, that's quite difficult. It's a two-sided sword, because sometimes agents, they also are thinking for the best of their player. If your player isn't playing, you're like, damn, I think he should be going elsewhere. I have to admit, I've had those moments as well. I get angry with the coach. I even message him, Japanese coach, by the way, and I was just like, can you please, what is this? I do get angry, but I don't do it to the point where, I would just question him and say, why are you not starting my player? But I don't think it influences him. I think he's just like, okay, your agent is being very annoying now, tells the player. But I want to know that I've done my best. If my player, because to be honest, I'm getting tweets on Twitter saying, your player sucks. You should be doing more for him. I'm like, it's not my decision, it's the coach. A lot of people don't understand that. So then I'm pressured. So I try to make things, try and solve it so that it's for the best. But some things you just cannot solve,
I think I understand where you're coming from, because it's you feel that you're responsible for the player because you got the player to that club.
Exactly.
And then if he doesn't do well, and then you feel responsible as well. I get that. Wonderful. So that's a player agent for you, right? It's a tough job, but somebody
babysitting. It's babysitting, to be honest. A lot of things A to Z. Most of these players, I'm sorry guys, whoever's listening, which they will be listening, I know they are. They all need to be taken care of. Sometimes I'm like, guys, you can't even do this. Ash, I need this done. How
Babies.
I'm like, guys, wake up, man. I'm not your mom. Okay lah, I'm not complaining.
Players, if you're listening in, you gotta be stronger, right? Ash, let's go for this quick fire round. I think you will breeze through. It's pretty simple. We start off a little bit simple, like simple questions, and then we move on, right?
Sure.
Try to be as fast as possible. But it's okay. Take your time. It's there's no win or lose or anything like that. Let's start off. Simple. Your favorite food and drink?
Pasta and coffee.
Pasta and coffee. What kind of coffee?
lately I've been liking piccolo latte because it's just one shot. Have you tried it?
No. It's
You
one
gotta-
shot, as in like an
As it is,
espresso.
okay, so it's one shot. It's a very, what do you call it? Like very thick shot,
Okay.
strong shot, and then the milk is very thin. So I like that.
Ah.
I don't like a lot of milk. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, we gotta try it. Piccolo latte.
Well, I will. I'm a coffee fan. Favorite actor and actresses. Actress, sorry.
Oh, this is tough, man. Okay.
Off your head, just the first one.
I like Sandra Bullock. I love her.
Okay. And the guy, the actor.
Shah Rukh Khan.
I'm not surprised.
love him.
Not surprised. Okay, now this is where you gotta think a little bit, right? The SPL in 3 words. The Singapore Premier League, not the. Yeah.
I'm stressed now.
Yeah. 3 words, just 3 words. The SPL.
Okay, this season is quite exciting. I would say exciting, electrifying, and underwhelming as well sometimes. So,
Underwhelming?
yeah, underwhelming sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite league and why?
The Premier League, obviously, it's
Yeah.
exciting in week in and week out. Yeah, I would say Bundesliga actually as well because
Yeah.
I like the youth teams there. So it's a bit hard. But La Liga will be angry if they listen to this. Sorry, guys.
So you like the English league because of its
It's fast paced and
right,
it's
okay.
fantastic way to actually yeah.
Your favorite player ever?
Kaka.
Why?
Fantastic role model on the pitch when he won that AC Milan Champions League in 2007, I believe. It was so magical. You know, like the kind of players that can actually create magic on the pitch. Him, yeah.
2007 when they beat?
Liverpool. Sorry, a Liverpool
I-
fan.
I-
I'm
I
sorry.
I just had to ask that question. Wonderful. Your biggest achievement so far, in your career or in whatever you do, your biggest achievement,
I think it was definitely the Dubai Sports Awards, getting up there because, yeah, being able to be amongst those people, I felt like, okay, I've arrived at last, yeah. I
Nice.
felt like I'd arrived, yeah.
Your biggest disappointment?
Some deals that didn't go the way I wanted, and also not filming so much earlier in my career when I was very young. I promised myself I would do more vlogs.
Okay.
I just
How young did you want to go? Like what? Like 12 years old?
2012, no 2000 and okay, when I was early on in my career, when I was writing so much, I should have filmed as well. I'm very hard on myself because like I'm like, man, I would have gotten footage when I was in Arsenal, when I was at Tottenham, when I was at Chelsea. I didn't do so much, but yeah, I mean, I had my best friend with me, but I know I'm always very hard on myself. So yeah, that was like I wish I had done more. Some regrets, yeah.
Great. Your pet peeve? Something that you hate most?
Yeah. Complainers and naysayers. I can't stand it when people complain, even though sometimes I do complain, but yeah. But I don't like it when it's complain back, especially when you know there's actionables, you can do something about it.
The
Yeah,
whiners.
yeah, the whiners. Yeah, in
Right.
football there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. If there was one person you want to meet, who would that be?
Wow, what a
Whom
question.
you haven't met yet, obviously. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that person has passed away. It was Maradona.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's quite a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my eyes, the best ever in terms of
Absolutely,
football,
yeah.
the best ever. Well, this gets interesting because the last question, right? In Spanish and in Portuguese, right? Say something complimentary about the Silverfox Hustle podcast.
Oh, Shashi. Okay. Hola a todos. El Silverfox Hustle Podcast es un podcast que es muy buena y es un placer estar aquí con tú. Es un comentario que una crack, which means you are the best commentator out there.
Wow, that is
I think.
Yeah. The other language.
Portuguese is a bit tough. I can't.
A simple one.
Okay. Silverfox. Oh my god. Okay, it's Silverfox Podcast.
Silverfox Hustle Podcast.
Silverfox Hustle Podcast e podcast okay, this is a little bit tough. Que mais grande, which is the biggest in Singapore, which is the biggest podcast in Singapore. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I forced you to say something good about the podcast. I don't know whether you meant it, but thank you so much. It's wonderful.
I've been
Thank
watching
you.
everything. I've been listening. It's fantastic stuff here. Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Lugiami Gaming because this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Esports for ladies, for women.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you do here? Like,
So I'm the co-founder of Lugiami Gaming. So we started it up like 3 months ago. So it's an all-female gaming organization think of Futbolita, but just for gaming. So I want to rally all the best female gamers and get them out there to compete, because they're not given the opportunity to compete.
Around the world, you mean, right?
Around the world, to compete. They're not given the right prize pool. They're not given opportunity. So that's why we're here for, to make them dream big, and we want to become the Real Madrid of female esports. That's the vision.
So you're working with a co-founder, or you just?
Yes, I have a co-founder in Malaysia. We are based in Malaysia and here. So we have big dreams, that's all I can say, and big goals.
It's interesting that you say that. You're talking about the pool, the money and stuff like that. And I hear that the prize money for esports, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Dota can go up to like 4 million, I believe. Yeah, the prize pool. Even more, like 3 figures, millions, in the millions.
You know, with prize money like that, right? With prize money like that, no one would actually take up the real deal, the real sport, the real football, the real...
Exactly.
You know, it's ridiculous, the amount of money that these guys can win.
Exactly. We're trying to do that for females as well, because the gap is really huge. Women are more like 5 figures, which is not so much compared to men. So we're bringing in partners and sponsors who can really pump in the prize money that women deserve, because they are good gamers. They are very good players. It's a completely new thing, professional esports players, very similar to professional footballers. They have to train, they got to be mentally fit as well. Don't think about it, they look so nerdy, like they have to actually go out to the gym and get themselves fit, eat right, just to get that mindset. Sometimes I'm like, wow, guys.
Really?
Yeah, so basically it's this thing called, I'm sure you do physical, fitness, so it's like hand and eye coordination. It has to be on, If you get one thing wrong, you miss the thing, and then you lose the game, for example. It's crazy,
No, but this is my personal opinion, right? E and sports cannot be. I'm just I'm having problems with the word, the sports with the E side. You know what I mean?
Because just E games.
Yes, it's not sports. Okay, and that's only me. I'm sorry. Where does Ash go from here? 5 years from now. Let's not think too far ahead. 5 years is, I think, is just right. What are your goals? With Footballita, with Lugiami as well.
Yeah. Honestly, Sashi, I just want to be happy in whatever I do. I'm not like the kind of person that I do make big goals, but I don't like to say it, to be honest, say it out loud. So my goal is just want to be happy and create a space for women. So I want to help as many women as I can to reach their goals, because I was lucky to be able to do it, whether it's in football and esports. I'm trying to help women as well, like get out of their comfort zone, so that they feel that they are supported. Because a lot of women, they feel like they're trapped. So just want to help them to be able to get past that. But if I've done it, then I feel like I think I've succeeded.
Wow.
That's my goal in the next 5 years. Something bigger than what I had.
Nice.
Done for Futbolita.
Now, lastly, before we go, right, Ash, any advice for entrepreneurs and women like you who want to make it big, and not big in the sense of money and stuff like that, in terms of growing as a person and stuff like that, but you've done this with Futbolita for many years, and what is your advice for, especially if you look 10 years back and the young Ash, right? I'm not saying you're old, right?
I got it.
10 years ago, what would your advice be to yourself?
Okay. When things look bleak, don't give up. Just keep going, because changes happen around the corner when you least expect it. Secondly, always listen to your gut when you make decisions. Your gut is the strongest indicator of whether something is right or wrong. And I always say this to every woman, even men as well. And also, this one a lot of people have told me as well, to jump in when you're not ready. Just go. Just jump into the pool. Don't wait so long. The longer you wait, the more it gets complicated, and then you won't do it. So just do it in 5 seconds. If you're not sure, make the decisions in 5 seconds. You heard about the 5-second rule, right? So that's like my thing as well. So these 3 things are very important to me lah.
Wonderful. Ash, Hashim, thank you so much for being here on the Silverfox Hustle podcast. And again, I think if listeners are listening in, I think you get lessons, life lessons as well from a woman's point of view. Growing up, beating the odds in terms of people's perception of a woman in football, especially in the media, especially. So thank you so much. I think you've been an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Shachi, for having me here as well. I'm lovely to hear from you as well. It's been fantastic, and your guests have been great. I'm inspired by all your guests, inspired by what you do as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And this has been episode number 48. But before we go, at the end of the podcast, obviously, if you're listening in, you just click on the follow if you haven't done so. Subscribe, leave a review if you want to. And we are out on YouTube as well. Search and subscribe to that as well. Now, till the next episode, the hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers.